an old French pillow, and an old French blanket. Alright guys, now if you've been following along, you'll know that this is the third broken Citroen HY van and the fourth broken Citroen that I've had on my property in the last couple of weeks. In the last episode, I mentioned that this one was going to get a power plant swap for something else, and within minutes of posting that, people already knew that I was going to convert this to an electric drivetrain. Unfortunately today, that's not what I get to do. The owners called me up and they were wondering if I could get it running just long enough for them to rent it out for a few events, because these are mobile bars, as I've mentioned before. So it should be relatively straightforward. Let me show you the issue we're having. Alright, so when I try to start this one, get the key on, and then try to listen. So just like the last one that I showed you guys, where I had to pull the starter out and do a rebuild on it because the starter shaft is not popping out to meet the flywheel, that's the same issue that I've got here. So I've already done it before, should be a pretty straightforward fix. Other than that, a couple little issues. I've got to fix this little broken arm there, and then over here somebody decided to smash this, and obviously this would have to be repainted to fix it properly, and we're trying to be budget conscious. So what I recommended doing was to make a plate that goes over it, bend it around so that it looks nice and sharp, make it out of aluminum, and then brush the aluminum so it's got a nice look to it, and at least that way it's just, you know, it's a little easier on the eyes and it's not so ugly. So those are the three things that I've got to do. Today is Sunday and we have to have this thing delivered on Tuesday, so I've got 3 days, shouldn't be any problems at all, as long as I get started. So let's get to it. Now, as many of you will know, Citroens are known for being unique. They seem to do everything just a little bit differently. So this bolt here, I'll show it to you when I remove it, but it's actually very cool. It's like a guide bolt that'll hold the starter in place. This is the only bolt that holds it. There's the power here, and then somebody has added on later a ground strap here. So it's only one bolt, one bolt, or one nut, one bolt, and then I'll show you what that thing looks like. It's actually kind of cool, and then we'll get to see what we're working with. But before I do this, of course, I'll remove the terminal off the battery here to make sure we don't have any electrical issues. All right, I've got a battery and some jumper cables hooked up, and I am ready to test this out. So let's see how it's working. What do you think, Ted?
Yeah.
I think that's a no. I don't think it's working right. So you see these gears here? These gears are supposed to pop out. So tell me if they pop out. So it seems like that little shaft that it's riding on, it's super tight. So let's grease it and see how that goes. So I like the Lucas red and tacky spray grease. I sprayed it in there, and you can see it's spinning a lot more freely. It's popping right out. So try it again. All right, so I was looking at this again, and that red and tacky that I love so much, it was actually making it kind of stick a little bit to it. So I used a little PB blaster in there, and I think I've got it. So let's hook it up to the battery, and then let's find out here. That should be more than enough to start. All right, I'll throw it back on the vehicle and we'll see if she goes. So here's that guide bolt for it, and you can see it just fits right in there, locks it in place. It's kind of cool, a neat little design. This is the only vehicle that I've ever seen it on. All right, I've got the starter installed. I've got the battery hooked back up. Let's give it a whirl. Hey, we see our fuel pump working. Haha! Success! Boy, she sounds good. Alright, it's time to fix this step. This should be super straightforward. If you notice here, there's only two little bolts that hold it up, and they are just all stripped out. So I've got my little container here of these U-nuts, and some M5 little bolts, and I'll just do 3 little holes, 1, 2, 3, and then I'll use this little clamp it together. Easy peasy. Let's knock this out. All right, I've got those nuts and bolts on here. It's super strong back here, but the front still a little bit weak, you see. So I'm gonna use this little elbow on the inside there. We'll get that cinched up, then we'll be good to go. All right, so I'm getting ready to swap this seat out. They brought me another seat back there to replace it with, so I'm gonna pull that one because there's never any passengers, and I'm gonna swap this one out. I wasn't sure why they wanted to swap it out. I mean, it seems like it's in pretty good shape. I could see, you know, it's a little loose down here, but I thought maybe if it was cinched up it'd be okay. And then I pulled this up. Check this out. An old French pillow and an old French blanket. So yeah, now I can see is not the most comfortable thing to drive around. So I'll pull this seat out, I'll pull the other one out, and then I'll throw that black seat in here, and then I can move on to the that aluminum plate on the side. Alrighty, here she is, ready to go back into service. Got the step all fixed with all these new little supporting bolts. Got the new black seat installed. Got the starter all fixed, so she's running. She could still probably use a carb rebuild, but sadly that was not in the budget for this, since it's just going to be back out into service. And then I have the aluminum repair. It looks pretty good. It's comparable to the factory aluminum. You know, it would have been nice to get it done properly, repaint this whole strip, get all taped up and do a paint match, but it's just not in the works for something that's only gonna, you know, be driven around a little bit, and something that's commercial that's gonna be kind of beat on. So send her back out into the world of alcohol. Alright, so if you guys were bummed out that I didn't get to start the electric conversion on that van, I am also bummed out. That's what I really wanted to do, but unfortunately these jobs can't all be super exciting, but I think they are all interesting in their own way. I really like working on these old French vans because the parts are so hard to find, and even when you can find them, they're expensive and they're usually 3 months out. So getting them into the shop and having to have them going quickly is just, it's kind of exciting, you know? I gotta put pieces together, I gotta rebuild parts when I normally would just buy new parts, so I think they're fun. The electric conversion was postponed, but it was not canceled. So hopefully in the next month or two, I'll be able to get that back into the shop and get that thing tore down and then turn into an electric van. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to that as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.